some parts of games are harder to appreciate than others. I don't think it's very difficult to understand why what we're seeing would be cool to do. You could see this in a trailer and think, oh yeah, that looks like fun, I get that. The moment-to-moment gameplay, there might be a fairly significant learning curve, but there's very cool attacks, and the fantasy, fighting dinosaurs with a giant needle in this case, you know, it makes some intuitive sense. Visually, you can kind of see what would be fun about it. But then you get into the menus. Then you want to organize your gear. Welcome aboard, folks. I'm Zandy. Oh, no. Oh. Understand my point. It's not that I don't enjoy seeing many options and the suggestion of complexity, but there's nothing about these screens that makes it clear what will be fun about using this equipment this way, or why all of this has to be here. What is this telling you, really? Like, wow, there will be choices. It is indeed a video game. Like, what kind of choices? What is the purpose of the choices? I love digging into these systems and making builds with them, but it's rough. It's rarely clear what games will have systems like this, much less which ones will be any good. What makes a so-called good build system anyway? Like, what's a useful way to think about that? What even exactly is a build system? I'm sure you'll agree that I must answer those questions to proceed, and so we embark on a journey. Well, I say we, you're coming, right? I will need your help later in the video, but I'll get us started. I'll do most of it. I'm going to take an approach that might seem a little weird and suggest the definition of a build system by talking about what a build system's purpose might be in terms of game design. So why are these systems here? I don't want a technical definition necessarily, I want a functional one. So defining these parts of games by what they do seems like it might be useful. What do build systems do? I guess what positive effects do they have to start us off? One thing that comes to mind is that you get a lot of different kinds of fun within one system. There's one set of things you have to learn, but you get maybe more than one worth of things that are fun. Getting up to speed with any new thing takes some time, so once you're used to these systems, they offer a lot. You could say it's kind of efficient to get used to one of these systems and then keep playing in it. I also think there's an added benefit that once you've learned something in a system before, you gain some confidence that it will be fun and fulfilling to learn a new thing in that system later on. So maybe it's easier to sell people that further engagement with a game will be fun when it's got a build system. You kind of already figured out that you're enjoying that. How about a little more? I also think there's the matter of comparison points. Within a similar system, you're not playing a whole new game exactly. I mean, you can often feel like that with certain kinds of builds, but you're adjusting the game systems with a new tool to tackle them. You know, you get to make a more granular change to your gameplay experience. So it's a really efficient way to figure out what you will enjoy in a game. You know, it's more specific. I think it's fair to say that in a lot of games, specific builds compared to other specific builds are very particular experiences, so you get a lot of potential variety. Exactly what you want might be available. But I'm already starting to get a little worried, so that all makes build systems sound great. You know, these systems in games that give you all these choices, look at all the variety, you gestures vaguely, but you're pretty much always going to have more fun if you have more options. In that sense, well, it doesn't seem very specific to build systems. It doesn't really explain what specifically is good about having a ton of different options and not just like a lot of different options. Why do you need so many different options within the options if all it is being able to compare this and that? Now, there was that point before about getting up to speed with a new thing. Sure, once you've done that, a build system may be great, but it's more things to learn too most of the time. So let's do a little thought experiment. Going back to another point I made about comparison points, comparing multiple options would basically always allow you to pick something you like more, regardless of the activity. So what if rather than build options like this, it was something like, you're going to the grocery store. What if the grocery store did it? So you get to try a little of two varieties of ice cream and then buy the one you prefer. That could be nice, but now imagine if you were required to compare. You could not buy food without doing a comparative tasting. Well, that would be inconvenient instead, right? In fact, even if it was just an option, you could imagine lots of people not doing it. The grocery store would be offering you a system that asks you to invest some of your time into learning what you like better. And going back to build systems, I mean, it's mandatory in most of these games. You often can't play without making a choice at some point. It is the grocery store where you can't buy anything unless you do a comparative taste. Well, you don't have to do a comparative taste. If you don't even know if you like ice cream, you know, some people will revel in the chance to give it a try, but not everybody is going to want to invest in comparing multiple of a thing they haven't even tried one of. And people just don't go to the grocery store to learn about their sense of taste, at least not currently. It's the same with games. A lot of people don't play games to learn more about themselves. They play games to unwind and have fun, even if those can be the same thing. So I think it makes sense that some people consider such systems a hassle, even if they're pretty obviously potentially beneficial if you take the time to use them. I think if it doesn't seem like a hassle to use these systems to you, that may be because you're simply used to the trade-off. I know I am. Yeah, you have to get your bearings, but then it's fun. And once that's been demonstrated, I've certainly found most people then agree that it's reasonable to exert the effort to figure out what they like. But yeah, the problem is that it's even more than that. After all, ice cream is ready to eat when you buy it. So translating that to games, choosing one flavor of ready-made ice cream is more like choosing a fighting game character, or each one is a pre-curated experience. You just choose which one you want. They're all functional ice creams, carefully balanced to be fun in their own ways. By contrast, making a build using a build system is in this metaphor more like making ice cream yourself from scratch. There's a lot of new stuff now. You can fail. You can simply not produce a thing that has taste or consistency similar to ice cream. You need to have some sort of goal yourself, like find an ice cream base recipe or invent one. Why this one over that one? What add-ins? Yeah, in the first place, why are you making this yourself? There are lots of good reasons to make ice cream from scratch, but why? It says something if you fail. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it says you're cool, you experimented, but lots of people don't feel that way. It may feel like their creation failed. Some self-consciousness, perhaps. I mean, I personally don't feel basically any negatives from making builds, but I do this for a living, so of course I don't. This won't be anywhere near a complete list, but you get it. Even if it doesn't always feel like it, making a build is an undertaking. So there it is. Maybe build systems are like ice cream makers. An enthusiast product that does very clearly provide a lot of benefits if you have something in mind, but begs the question whether it's worth the additional effort and learning curve. Now, I like my ice cream machines, but it sure makes sense for most games not to have build systems. Well, not noteworthy build systems, anyway. And we came all this way to get a definition, and I think I have one. A build system is a part of a game that lets you mix and match player options in the game to create new possible playstyles. And that handles one of the points I've often struggled with when talking about builds or making builds. I don't personally think that it's useful to consider something a build system if it's primarily focused on just making the players stronger. It's not bad or wrong for a similar system to focus on making the player stronger. That's, common. It's fine. I'm just saying it's a different appeal. It only looks similar on the surface. Build systems, I propose, are more about gaining new approaches to play, which just knowledge is power, but you may not always directly get something stronger. Can you see where this is going? This is where I said I need help from you earlier. I thirst for your opinions. I would like to know what you think of a build system as. That could be anything from a response to the ways I discuss them to your own definition of sorts, of what kinds of things tend to feel build system-y. You could even respond about the 4 games that have been in this video. Are there some that you feel like do or don't have build systems? Why or why not? Whether you've played them or not, it's okay to just say what you think. I personally consider plenty of roguelikes or arcade format games where you sort of reset each run and you get a new set of items as you go. I consider many of those to have build systems. What do you think? Is permanent progression important to that build system feeling or not so much to you? If a game has delicious build options, but the sweet, sweet core of opportunity cost isn't there, how much does that matter to you? I'm intentionally not explaining too much of what I'd think of as basic build system theory, because I think it'll be more interesting to hear what you all think. To sup from the communal well of knowledge, if you will, instead of wringing my brain out like an old sponge. Or we can do that too if you want. What I mean is don't worry about saying anything perfectly organized. I'm not. I think looking at the state of build systems right now, it's also safe to assume that literally nobody is currently an expert, but we're going to become those experts. Yes, you too. It's too late to back out now. Tell tell me what you think in the comments, and in about 2 weeks, I'll do a follow-up video continuing to dig into this topic based on what you all have to say about it. Again, in the comments of this video, I'll just read those and put them on the screen during the video. If you're from the future, there's a link in the description and coming up in a minute on screen to the next video. I've been wanting to do this sort of let's go on a journey together string of videos thing for a while now, so thank you for joining me. I'm not sure how we're getting out of this build system limbo, but we'll have fun doing it. And hey, thank you to my patrons for supporting our voyage. Folks, I've been Zandy, and if you're off to watch that video, if it exists, enjoy yourself. For the rest of you, where are we off to next?